Hello and welcome back to Fisher Football Focus. I'm your host, James Bailey. Fresh off their first win of the season in a 5-overtime thriller, no less, Fisher was looking to take the momentum into Ithaca. The Bombers were coming off a loss to RPI, and the Cardinals were looking to pounce on another longtime rival to get win number 2. Fisher opened up the scoring, driving 77 yards in 16 plays. They took a 7-0 lead on a Nick Fischetti touchdown plunge from the 1. Ithaca responded with a long opening drive of their own, capped by an Isaiah Diatti touchdown run. A Fisher field goal gave the Cardinals a 10-7 halftime advantage. Fisher went 3-and-out in their first drive of the third, with Michael Burton punting to Jordan Shem. He takes the kick on a bounce, and he cuts up the field, weaving through the Cardinal defenders. He would go 47 yards to set up a second Diatti touchdown. Early in the fourth quarter now, Bomber quarterback Wahid Nadi rolls out and hits Jared Bauer, who sneaks past the pylon for the touchdown. Then, after another Diatti score, it's Nabi to Bauer again. Ithaca would go on to win 35-10 to hand Fisher their 6th loss of the year. The Cardinals experimented with 3 different quarterbacks on Saturday. The three-headed approach combined with the absence of running back James Chambers led to Fisher amassing only 248 yards of total offense. The loss on Saturday evened up Fisher's all-time series with Ithaca at 10 games apiece. After the break, I'll have on senior linebacker Justin Rivera to talk Ithaca and Senior Day, so stay tuned. Welcome back to Fisher Football Focus, joined now by senior linebacker Justin Rivera. Happy to have you on, Justin.
Great to be here.
So this past week against Ithaca, you actually, yardage-wise, you did a pretty decent job slowing them down. Gave up just over 300 yards of offense to them, about 5 yards of play. But their starting field position on all 5 scoring drives, at least, was on your 45-yard line. So how difficult is it to stop an offense when you guys are kind of slowing them down, but they keep on having great field position every time?
It's pretty tough to stop a team like that, especially when they're inside, your 50. Field position obviously plays, huge role in football. Looking back at it, there were some mistakes made, but the best we could do is line up and play defense. And that's what we, pride ourselves on doing and going out there and playing the best we can.
Yeah, and you don't want to throw the offense under the bus, but the numbers don't lie. When their first 4 possessions of the second half, they picked up 21 total yards, only 75 yards total in that second half combined. So does it put a little extra pressure on you guys to feel like you have to make a big play to kind of help spark them and kind of play off of each other?
As a defense, we tend to not really think about it. Every series that we get is another opportunity to play football. I think it's they rely on us as much as we rely on them. So we try to put them in the best position. So they could get the ball back and they could score.
Yeah, and you guys aren't necessarily the biggest defense. Your biggest starter this past week was a 250-pound nose tackle, Leighton Miner. So you think that kind of plays your advantage, having a group of guys that are a little quicker, smaller guys out there on the field?
Sometimes, sometimes it could hurt us. Sometimes it, plays into our favor. For the first 3 quarters, we were with Ithaca. We were playing with them. Eventually in the fourth quarter, we started to get a little tired, starting to get a little worn down. They were just, being more out, physicality-wise. They were just outplaying us. That's the thing that we're gonna, hopefully, we learn this season is, how important those off-season workouts tend to be when, going into the next season.
Yeah, we saw last week in that Utica game where they had Lindell Reed was actually a 255-pound running back out there. He actually outweighed everyone on your defense. So you as a linebacker, the entire linebacking core, when you have a smaller defensive line, more pressure falls on you guys when it comes to stopping the run. So you guys, as a unit, kind of like that extra challenge.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I mean, I'm up for a challenge. I'm sure the defense is always up for a challenge, and that's how, like I said, we pride ourselves on challenges, making big plays, making big stops. But every week we come in with a new opponent, new players that we have to game plan against, and this week was a little bit different, but it's the same game plan every week. Be more physical than the person across from you.
And you've been playing with that game plan for several years now. Now you're you're a senior, and your senior night is this upcoming Saturday. You starting to feel any extra emotion or feeling, now that this Saturday is going to be your last game in Groundy Stadium?
Absolutely. I'm just going to sleep at night. Where these 4 years went. It's tough to look back and say, wow, I was a freshman already 3 years ago, and finally playing my last 3 games, and especially senior night and last game at Groundy Stadium. So it's exciting and it's emotional for me, to get back out there one last time and give it all I got. I'm sure all the seniors feel the same about that.
Right, and you've played a lot of memorable games in Groundy Stadium. List off a ton, but I want to listen to you. What's been your most memorable game that you've played here at Fisher?
Well, despite our recent Courage Bowl losses to Brockport, but I'd have to say our most memorable game was that double overtime 2 years ago as a sophomore playing against Brockport when we went into double overtime and we believe we won. We were able to pull through that game, but those games are always a good cause to play. It gives us a little bit more energy to play, but that's probably looking back most memorable moment I have.
Yeah, and you personally, what would you say you remember as your best individual game you've had here?
Individual game, it's tough to say. Personally, how I do is not directly reflective of me. Like there's a bunch of different factors that go into me making a play. Whether it's the D line slanting the right way, whether it's the corners or the safeties or outside linebackers pressing upside on the edge. We all contribute to making those plays, and we all contribute to each other's success. So I think that's important, that, it's a team team sport, and I am only as good as the person next to me.
Right, in that team, you're gonna be missing that now. Is that, is that what you're gonna miss the most? Is kind of the guys that, the guys on this team and the kind of the camaraderie you have when you end up leaving?
Absolutely, looking back, I'm gonna miss the locker room, hearsay, what we do in there. All the guys just messing around after big wins, after, good games, I'm going to miss that. Waking up early, sometimes I might not miss it as much now, but, looking back, I'm sure I'm going to miss waking up early with those group of guys, Like I said, they're like brothers to us, brothers to me. So I'm definitely going to miss that the most.
I think you're the first person I've ever heard say they're going to miss waking up early for extra workouts.
Yeah.
Well, you guys still have to put them in for 3 more weeks. So the first of which is going to be this Saturday against Cortland. Good Empire 8 team, 5-2 right now, and Steven Ferreira is back yet again as quarterback. He played sparingly against you guys last year, but 2 years ago, last time we played them in Groundy Stadium, he was actually the quarterback that led them to a win in your home opener 2 years ago. So you've seen him before. What are you guys going to try to do to try to shut him down?
We're obviously going to come out. We're going to game plan against him. Try stop what he's good at, whether it's running the ball or scrambling. We're going to try stopping that, and then have them play off what they're not necessarily good at. So that's obviously our key coming into this week is stopping what they're good at, put them in that uncomfortable position so we can make plays and we can help out our offense to score all around.
All right, Justin, well, thank you for coming on, and good luck this upcoming weekend and beyond.
No problem. Thank you. It was great to be here.
So up next, we're going to have part 2 of the JV coaches segment we started last week, so stay with us.
We just finished dinner and it was time for homework. He hates homework.
It makes no sense.
I don't know how he finds anything in his backpack.
I can't find my backpack.
I couldn't even read his handwriting.
Holding the pencil makes my hand hurt.
I know he's bright.
Why is it so hard for me?
He's
I'm
just
trying
gotta
as
try a
hard
little
as
harder.
I can.
When you can see learning and attention issues from their side, you can be on their side. Go to understood.org, a free online resource with support and tools to help your child thrive.
Welcome back. Last week you saw me sit down with JV head coach Brian Schnell. This week we return for part 2 of our look at the JV football team with coaches John Venditti and Ryan Carroll. All right, welcome to part 2 of the JV assistant coaches series. I'm joined now by JV offensive coordinator John Venditti and defensive coordinator Ryan Carroll. Happy to have you both on. So I talked to Coach Schnell last time, about the JV season. You guys had a 2-2 record this year. Can you guys talk about what your guys' contributions are, not just to the JV program, but kind of to the Fisher football program?
Well, from the JV aspect, I'm considered the defensive coordinator on Sundays, but every other day of the week, I am responsible for the defensive line and just making sure that we play physical and do all that stuff.
On the JV, I am the offensive coordinator, and I coach pretty much the entire offense. We do have a volunteer, Matt Blair, who coaches our offensive line, but on game day, it's just the two of us. On the varsity, I coach the running backs, I help out with special teams, and I work with Coach Carroll and Coach Schnell on the film and recruiting and everything like that.
Yeah, and we'll get to recruiting here in a minute, but you know, so you guys both being the coordinators, how much freedom do you guys kind of have as coordinators? You guys running basically 100% of what Coach Kramer and Coach Keys have in, or you guys throwing a couple of your own wrinkles as well?
No. From a defensive perspective, we run everything that the varsity runs, so everything that Coach Keys kind of puts in, and kind of allows our younger guys to kind of go through the process and kind of build on the fundamentals within our system.
Same thing on offense. We stick to just the bare minimum basics, just so our guys can get a foundation of what we're doing with the varsity, and then, you know, as they progress, we can progress in what we call and, you know, prepare them to move up to varsity.
Yeah, Coach Venditti actually, you know, was talking to Coach Schnell. You know, Jonathan Lettis started on your offense on the JV level, and now he's obviously the starting quarterback for the varsity team. So, you know, what were you able to kind of see in those couple of games that he was out there with you guys that helped him get promoted up there?
Well, if you watch him play now, you see the escapability. And I mean, the first game he played in JV, I don't know how he pulled it off. He pulled off a 50-yard run where he was in the backfield. So you saw that, you saw he was athletic, and you saw that he threw a nice ball. So, I mean, his progression, moving up to varsity is no shock to me. I think he was poised in the pocket, he was composed, and he was ready.
Yeah, and both of you being kind of coordinators on the JV level, you know, JV level is kind of the spot where younger players are to develop into being bigger varsity players. You guys kind of see that as the same sort of stepping ground for you guys, being able to kind of be coordinators of a team, you know, being relatively younger coaches in this program?
Oh, yeah. I mean, especially on defense, it's a time to go out there and just kind of run through our base calls and basically put kids in good positions to make plays. And it's kind of a foreshadowing of what they could be on Saturdays. So just like Coach Schnell said, I mean, we've had younger guys come out on defense and play extremely well, and then the following week they find themselves traveling on the bus somewhere and on Saturdays, and I don't if it's special teams or defense or offense or anything like that. I mean, Sundays are a big time for these guys to shine.
JV is awesome. I got to play JV for a little bit at Albright, and it's some of the most fun that you'll have in football, because I always tell our JV guys, it's an opportunity. Varsity is a privilege, JV is an opportunity. You know, it's a chance to get on film running what we do on the varsity. And then, you know, same for us. Like, it gives us a chance to get experience calling a game and burning Coach Schnell's timeouts and everything like that. It gives us a chance to get the experience as well as the players. So JV it's a great opportunity for everybody involved.
Yeah, and you know, I heard, you know, recruiting mentioned a little bit earlier, and you know, I know especially throughout the entire program, every coach has to be able to go out and recruit. So kind of what are you guys looking for? You know, you guys are going to be the first ones to kind of help shape these players as the JV coaches. What are you looking for in new recruits that you're going to be able to bring in your program and play for your team next year?
I mean, we're looking for quality people, first and foremost, a quality person on and off the field, because that's what St. John Fisher football really harps on. Is, you know, obviously we want great athletes, but we want great men too. You know, great younger men. But more from a football aspect, just we look for athletes, look for great athletes, the ability to handle adversity. You know, everyone can make a great highlight tape, right? But you know, we want game film. We want to see how these guys come back from making bad plays, and we want someone that can come in and can contribute right away, whether it's on special teams or JV. And if it's JV, then, you know, obviously us younger guys, we get to kind of mold them up and shape them and kind of get them ready for Saturdays.
Yeah, and Coach Venditti, obviously, you know, you guys both played in college, so Coach Venditti, you know, do you kind of look at the qualities that what made a good teammate when you were a player and the players that you're now trying to get as a coach?
Absolutely. Like Coach Carroll said, you need quality people. And that was the one thing that was hammered home to us as players, was you need to have good character in order to fit into the program. And with Division III football, you know, the one thing I always tell recruits is Division III, your draft day is graduation day. Your name gets called, you walk across the stage, you shake somebody's hand, that's your draft day. You know, chances of you going to the league are slim to none. So, you need to come in here, you need to be a good student, you need to, know that that is why you're here. So, that's another quality that we need to look for. We don't want kids who are just going to come and just put it all off and just fail out. We want people who are going to be here all 4 years, contribute to the program, and that, can grow together. And that's when you start to have the most success, when you have guys that are together for 4 years and stick together.
Yeah, so and finally, when Coach Snell was here, he dropped a few names of a couple of guys that you can see as being big contributors in the varsity level down the road. Do you guys have any players you want to give a shout out to you guys think are going to be kind of big players moving forward for this program?
Well, I know especially from the defensive line, because that's what I coach. Leighton Minor was actually a JV starter against Utica a couple weeks ago, and then he found himself starting on varsity against Alfred. And I think that's just a great example. I know there's a ton of other guys, but that's just a great example of understanding your role and then taking advantage of an opportunity that's given you. So I think it's great for the younger guys to kind of look up to him, not as a role model, but can kind of see what the process is.
And he was very instrumental, especially deep in the overtimes in that Utica game as well.
Oh, he was, yeah.
And anyone in the offensive end, obviously we talked about John Letta. He's already up there in the varsity. And anyone else that you're looking at that you think will kind of explode on the varsity scene as soon as later this year, maybe next year?
I do. Well, starting with the running backs, this weekend Cam Cleveland was a big contributor both in the kickoff return game as well as running a couple jet sweeps for us. Nick Fischetti as well. He's a tough running back. I think the tight end position, we only had one tight end on JV this season, Matt McInder. I believe he's going to be a contributor. I always give love to the offensive line. Those guys, I think a lot of those guys are going to end up coming forward for us. Cole Brightman, Michael Schuster. Trying to think who else. Receiver-wise, we got Pat Gaylor, Corey Futko, James Rasinski. So I think we were pretty loaded on our JV team this year. We were a very talented group, and the guys came together and got 2 wins at the end there. So.
All right, and we'll be back after this message.
What if you could invest in the future? The future of kids, like a stock. Not the kind of stock that's about making money, but a stock for social change. A whole new kind of investment called Better Futures. When you invest, it helps kids go to college. Believe in us, invest in us, watch us grow.
My name is Sydney, and I'm your dividend.
Welcome back to Fisher Football Focus, joined now by junior defensive back Brendan Thompson. Happy to have you on, Brendan.
Yeah, pleasure to be here.
So, I talked about it a little bit with Justin, where you guys did a pretty good job stopping that big play, but ultimately they still put up 35 points in a win. Was this something where they kept on grinding on you with those little short 3-4 yard gains, where eventually they just started breaking off to more 6-8 yards, and it just got harder and harder to slow them down?
Yeah. I mean, it wears you down. We were pretty stout through 3 quarters. In the 4th quarter, they just started to pile it on a little bit. So, yeah, I guess you could say that those little runs do add up in the long term.
Yeah, and we saw in that Alfred game especially where the offense struggled a little bit in that first half, and then you guys went out and got 3 turnovers, and that kind of is what was a spark to bring you guys back into that game. Yeah. Same sort of deal where the offense was kind of stalled out a little bit there in that 3rd quarter. Did you guys feel that kind of pressure where you had to go out there and create a couple big plays to get them back into it?
There's never really any pressure. Coaches kind of instill that in us. It's just a part of the game, I guess. But that's on us as well. We got to get some more turnovers. We got to help the offense out a little bit as well. It's a team sport.
Yeah, and picking up turnovers. You play in the secondary with DeMar Big Play Nelson.
Yeah.
Hear that all the time here at Groundy Stadium. So what's it like to play back there with a guy like that that's ball hawking, and he can kind of flip a game on any given play?
Well, it's nice. It's definitely nice to have a guy that can make big plays like that. I know for me personally, I just transferred from safety to corner, so DeMar's been helping me out a lot with a lot of the technique stuff, where my eyes should be, what I should be doing. So he's been a great guy to learn from and just play with and play against in practice and everything along those lines that comes with it, like competing and getting better.
Yeah, I'm going to say you have flipped around, jumped back and forth between safety and corner this year. Has it been a difficult transition trying to play both positions?
Not as much as you would think. The safety position, you really have to know almost every position on the field and what everybody's doing. So mentally, it wasn't that difficult. Physically, it was a little bit more difficult because you're doing a lot more running, you're doing a lot more covering, big, important covering, like covering some of the better receivers, especially in the Empire 8. So yeah, it was definitely different, but I enjoy the difference, I guess you could say.
Yeah, and it's been your first year starting here. This year as a junior. Obviously probably helped out by a lot of the seniors on the team. With Senior Day coming up here on this Saturday, can you talk a little about this year's senior class and kind of what you're gonna remember about them?
These guys, this senior class is a great class. They've got guys like Dave Carroll, Justin, who was just in here, James Chambers. They're all just great guys to be around. Great locker room guys, great leaders on and off the field. I can't say enough about them. I love those guys, and I'm gonna miss them to death. So we're gonna have to go out there and give it everything we got for them come Saturday.
Yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned that the seniors. We talked a little before we came on. You do have a relatively young team. You have that senior linebacking core, but a lot more youth in the defensive line and the secondary. So as a player on a 1-6 team, you kind of see it as a bit of, I guess that'd be the silver lining where you're going to have a lot of these guys coming back, getting a lot of younger guys in the field this year.
Oh yeah, it's definitely exciting. It's definitely exciting. Just in our secondary alone, we'll have 4 returners. And plus, hopefully, a healthy Chris Barilla. Linebacker-wise, we've got 2 guys that are coming up that are sophomores right now that are going to be really, really big playmakers next year, and even some freshmen are stepping up on the defensive line, like Lamar Peters. So it's definitely exciting to see all the growth and the potential that we have, and it's pretty scary. So I'm getting excited for next year, but again, most important game is the next one, so we're just trying to focus on this week and get another win.
Yeah, and you think you guys are going to be a little more, apt to be able to experiment a little bit more? You saw even this past week, on the offensive side, you're playing 3 different quarterbacks and stuff like that. Maybe if you guys are competing with the Empire 8, you're not going to be playing around with that sort of stuff as much. Do you think that that's also kind of a thing where since you're out of contention, you're going to be able to kind of put different guys in different positions to see who's going to be best in that place moving forward?
Yeah, I guess that's one of the things. One of the silver linings, I guess you could say. There's been a lot of competition, a lot of guys have been stepping up. You really find out who the players are, who wants to be out there, who wants to compete, and that's exciting as well to see the growth of a lot of players and who's really going to be an important player next year.
Yeah, so you guys are going to finish under 500. First time it's happened in the program since 2001, so probably going to be a little bit of a different off season than they're used to in the past. You expect there are going to be any changes made in the off season that might differ from what you guys have done in the past off season programs?
Honestly, I couldn't tell you. Like I said, I'm focused on this week getting this win, but off season wise, I know that these guys are ready to fix our mistakes that we've had this year, get after it, and just put ourselves in a better position for next year. Because like you said, we have not had this history, and especially me being a senior, I don't want to be known to have a sub 500 record, so we got to flip that around and make our own history, I guess.
Yeah, and it starts this weekend against Cortland. Cortland, talked about Justin, a very, very good team, especially passing the ball. 5-2 Empire 8 team. You have a little bit of spoiler attitude. I know I talk about past guys that you guys are playing a little bit of a different role. You kind of feel like that spoiler, or maybe they beat you in Grundy Stadium a couple of years ago, where obviously you want to get the win just for the seniors and all that sort of stuff. Is that a little added motivation to help spoil their season and keep them from going to the Empire 8 title?
Of course, you want to play for those seniors, like I was saying earlier, Dave Carrolls, the Justin Rivera's that have given it all to the team for their 4 years. So you want to give that back to them, and at the end of the day, we're playing football. We're going out there, we're competing. You got to have some pride. You got to be physical. You got to beat the other opponent up as bad as you can, and hopefully, try to keep them out of the playoffs. As bad as that sounds, but that's the name of the game. Yeah,
and talked with Justin about Stephen Ferrer, their quarterback, coming back again to start this year. Pretty relatively prolific passer in the Empire 8. As a guy in the secondary, especially. Have you looked at any tape and figured out, you looked at any ways you're going to try to slow him down this week?
Yeah. It's not just one guy. It's about stopping the whole offense. So as a defense, we're going to have to just work together and do our thing. But secondary-wise, I know those guys back there, they're pretty cold. No one scares them. DeMar, Mike, Cam, we're excited for the challenge.
All right. Well, thank you very much for being on, and good luck this upcoming weekend.
Yes, thank you very much.
So that's our show for this week. Thanks for tuning in. Be sure to check back next week after the Cardinals take on the Cortland Red Dragons. For Cardinal Television, I'm James Bailey. Catch you next time.